Hey everyone, in this particular video we are going to discuss about the RBI circulars for the month of November 2025. So let's start the discussion. So here are the circulars that we need to discuss, and there is a twist in the story. When you actually go to the website, you can see so many other circulars as well which are dated on 28th of November 2025. But let me quickly tell you that RBI has issued multiple consolidated master directions, right? So you can see on 28th November 2025 RBI has issued consolidated master directions. So most of the circulars that you can see on the RBI website on 28th of November are nothing but consolidated master circulars, right? Master directions. Now here we can see the comprehensive exercise that RBI has considered here, that they have done here, is involving consolidation of more than 9,000 existing circulars, guidelines administered by the Department of Regulation into 238. So almost 9,000 circulars को यहाँ 238 circulars के अंदर combine कर दिया है, right? And we can see these 238 circulars on the RBI website dated on 28th of November 2025. So no worries at all. We'll be covering the circulars related to the November month, और ये सारे आपके consolidated ही हैं, या आप कहीं ना कहीं पिछले month में you have already studied these directions, right? So no worries at all as of now. Let's start with the first circular of November 2025 month, which is related to the master direction, Reserve Bank of India repurchase transaction, which we also call it as repo direction 2025. We also call it as repo transaction, repurchase transaction. Why we call it as repo? Because there is a repurchase element in it, right? So let's first try to quickly understand what repo is all about, right? So background and purpose. Earlier we used to have a direction of repo direction 2018, and now this has been replaced by repo direction 2025. What is the twist here is they have added municipal debt securities as the eligible collateral for repo and reverse repo via this notification. So this can be very, very important for you guys for your phase 2 examination. If you guys are giving your phase 2 examination in this December month, then please do remember this thing, that now municipal debt securities are also eligible to be collateral. They can also be eligible for being a collateral security for the repo and repurchase repo. तो अब आप municipal debt securities को भी क्या कर सकते हो, collateral रख सकते हो for these kind of transactions, right? That's the crux of this particular update. Now municipal bonds can also be used as collateral. So first let's try to understand what repo is all about, what repurchase repo is all about, and then we can understand the concept of collateral and what's the thing which is related to repurchase in this. So let's suppose RBI is giving a loan to a regulated entity, to a bank, and in return what bank is doing, they are giving securities. Why the bank is giving securities? As collateral. Now these securities are given as collateral, and at the same time the bank is doing an agreement with Reserve Bank of India to buy these securities back again. That means of repurchasing these securities again from Reserve Bank of India. You can take securities as of now, give me the loan, but later on I will repurchase these securities from you, and that's why we call it as a repo transaction, as a repurchase transaction, because we are going to repurchase the securities back from the Reserve Bank of India, right? So these are secured loans basically, and the reverse of repo will be reverse repo arrangement, where the bank is giving the loans and advances here to RBI. In repo arrangement, the RBI is giving loans and advances to banks, right? So now what can this be collateral? What things can be included in this collateral? What are the instruments that I can give Reserve Bank of India as repo collateral? There is a list, and now municipal bonds are also included in this particular list. So please do remember this much. Okay, please do remember this much, can be important. Now why repo market is important? Obviously helps the financial institutions in managing the short-term liquidity needs. It's a major instrument of money market. Money market क्या होता है? एक साल से कम वाला market होता है, right? And this also ensures smooth financing for government and the corporate bond market. So these directions will be applicable to repo transactions that are carried on stock exchanges. So it doesn't matter whether you are carrying transaction on a stock exchange, on an electronic trading platform ETP, which is authorized by Reserve Bank of India. Iska bhi we have done a circular, or it can be over the counter market as well. Directly a bank is doing some repo arrangement with another entity over the counter without using any stock exchange, without using any electronic trading platform. That is also eligible, right? So three things are eligible. You can do the transaction via stock exchange, via ETP or via OTC. All the things are fine. But this direction will not be applicable on RBI's liquidity adjustment facility and marginal standing facility. So this won't be applicable on the LAF and the MSF, right? These are the exclusions which are completely excluded from the scope of this direction. Now, if I talk about the definitions that are given in this particular circular, the very first definition is regarding the corporate bonds and debentures. Now, what do you mean by corporate bond and debenture? It can be loans, it can be bonds, it can be debentures. So basically these are non-convertible debt instrument. That means we will never convert them into equity, rather we will always pay them off, right, in cash via bank. We will definitely settle these bonds and debentures. We will never issue equity shares instead of real money. That means they are non-convertible. I won't convert them into equity. I'll definitely honor my cash obligation, right? So these are non-convertible debt instruments issued by the companies or statutory bodies, excluding government securities. So government securities are excluded from corporate bonds and debentures. Obviously government security G6 का अलग classification होता है. Corporate bonds and debentures के अंदर तो corporate entities के bonds और debentures आएंगे. Securitized instruments and security receipts. So security receipts is an financial instrument again that we use in the concept of securitization, right? So corporate bonds and debentures are only non-convertible debt instruments that are issued by companies, but they exclude G6, government securities, securitized instrument and security receipts. ये सारी चीजें यहाँ पे excluded है. Then if we talk about commercial paper, certificate of deposits, everything is money market instruments, right? All these instruments we study in the chapter money market. Commercial paper, let's suppose in commercial paper, I am running a corporate organization and I need short-term debt. I need some short-term, I need some money for short-term purpose. So what I can do is I can issue commercial papers, right? For financing my working capital needs. And they are unsecured in nature. They are completely unsecured in nature. The original maturity date anywhere around ranges from 7 days to 1 year. Then if we talk about certificate of deposit, तो ये generally financial institutions issue करते हैं. These are again short-term debt raised by the financial institutions by issuing the certificate of deposits, right? Then we have debt ETF. What is a ETF? Exchange traded fund. Just like mutual funds, we have ETF, but the only difference is they are actually being traded on an exchange. That means you can do the trading stuff as well in ETF, which is not possible in mutual funds, right? At least you need to hold mutual funds for 1 day in order to sell it the very next day. But ETF, they are as good as tradable securities, right? So these are debt-based ETF. That means if I am giving 1 lakh rupees to a debt ETF, it will invest my money in the debt securities. That's the meaning, right? Then we have delivery versus payment. That means simultaneously the securities will be exchanged and the funds will be settled, right? This is called as debt delivery versus payments. So इसका मतलब as good as एक हाथ दो एक हाथ लो, मतलब take the securities, give me the funds instantly. They both will be there simultaneously, right? So it completely avoids the settlement risk. What is settlement risk? I have given you the securities but I am not able to receive the funds. Or maybe I have given you the funds but you are not giving me the securities, right? So settlement नहीं हो पा रहा. यहाँ पे settlement risk नहीं होता. There is no settlement risk. Haircut, say for example, my security is worth ₹100. So I have given you a security which is worth 100. Now you are deducting 2% and you are only giving me 98 rupees. This 2% is nothing but it is acting as a safety cushion for the lender, right? This 2% is acting as a safety cushion for lender, or this is called as haircut, right? This 2% is called as haircut. So it's nothing but a risk reduction mechanism So if you are giving 100 rupee to RBI, RBI is giving you just loan of 98 rupees. So it's a risk reduction methodology. The collateral value is discounted by the lender, right? So it won't be giving you exact amount of loan which the collateral is worth, right? So if the collateral is worth 100 rupee, definitely the loan amount you'll be getting will be lesser than 100 rupee only, तो 100 रुपए से कम ही होगा. Then listed corporate, obviously the share or debt instrument is listed on any recognized stock exchange. That's the meaning of a listed corporate, like Reliance Industries, Adani Enterprise. Municipal debt securities, which is now eligible for collateral in the repo arrangements. So municipal bonds issued by urban local bodies or municipal corporation. जो municipalities होती हैं वो जो bonds issue करते हैं उसको municipal debt securities बोलते हैं, right? Now they are eligible for collateral purpose. अच्छा, reverse repo क्या होता है? We have already discussed. Securitized debt instrument, we have done a complete circular on this particular terminology. Securitized debt instrument, securities that are backed by a pool of underlying loans. There are so many loans. I have combined these loans and I have created a SDI, securitized debt instrument. So this security is depicting the interest of all the loans, right? Then we have the tri-party repo. Just like in repo, we are having two parties, the lender and the borrower. We have the lender and the borrower, and they need to manage the collateral. Here in tri-party repo arrangement, we have a third party, right, which is called as the tri-party, the third party, and the party is managing the collateral, settlement and custody, etc. So whatever collateral the borrower is giving to the lender, this collateral will be with the clearing agent with the tri-party, right? So collateral management यहाँ पे कौन करने वाला होगा? थर्ड पार्टी करने वाली है, ना कि lender और borrower करने वाले, right? Now what are the securities that are actually eligible for repo? If you want to enter into a repurchase agreement, what are the securities that are actually eligible? So these are the eligible security. This is the list of all the eligible securities: government securities, listed corporate bonds and debentures, commercial papers, security of deposits, unit of the debt ETF, municipal debt securities, which is the newest edition, can be important for your examination, or any other security notified by the central government. So this is the list. Eligible participants who can participate in a repo transaction: all the regulated entities, banks, NBFCs, insurance companies, pension funds, right? They are eligible. So basically listed corporates, unlisted companies also, right? But if you are an unlisted company, then you can use only the special securities as issued by the government of India. So there is a list of special securities. If you are unlisted, then only special securities are permitted. If you are an AIFI, All India Financial Institution like NABARD, NHB, SEDBI, NABFID, Exim Bank, or any other entity which is approved by Reserve Bank of India. So these are the eligible participants who can enter into repo transaction. Acha, what is the usual tenure of repo transaction now? Because this is a money market instrument. Minimum tenure 1 day, maximum tenure will be restricted to 1 year. Why? Because this is a money market instrument. Money market is a short-term wala market, right? Money market is a short-term instruments wala market. Then we have the tri-party agent network. We have already discussed this particular thing, right? Tri-party wala कि क्या चीज़ होती है. So the security and collateral management यहाँ पे किसके पास आ जाता है? Tri-party के पास आ जाता है. रेपो ट्रांजैक्शन कैसे कैसे हो सकते हैं वो भी हमने देख लिया. इट कैन बी वाया इलेक्ट्रॉनिक ट्रेडिंग प्लेटफॉर्म, इट कैन बी वाया स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, इट कैन बी वाया ओवर द काउंटर एज वेल. हम लोग मिल के भी OTC भी कर सकते हैं, ओवर द काउंटर बैठ के नेगोशिएट भी कर सकते हैं, राइट. नाउ विच इज द ट्रेडिंग प्रोसेस विच इज अलाउड? सो ट्रेडिंग प्रोसेस इज कंप्लीटली फ्री. सो हियर आई कैन से बायलैटरल, मल्टीलैटरल नेगोशिएशन. मतलब देखो, बायलैटरल मतलब इन विच बोथ द पार्टीज आर डूइंग द नेगोशिएशन, राइट. Let's suppose in bilateral trade there are two parties and they are doing the negotiation process. In multilateral there can be more than two parties as well who are doing the negotiation, right. It can be court driven, it can be order driven, it can be unanimous order, right. Anonymous order भी हो सकता है और named order भी हो सकता है. So यहाँ full flexibility is there. Reporting requirement for repo not traded on recognized exchange or approved by ETP. That means अगर OTC है तो, अगर over the counter है तो then the transaction must be reported within 15 minutes, then you need to report the transaction within 15 minutes on the system like Chromes and FTRAC. So you need to use CROMS for the repos in the government securities. अगर repo हो रहा है government security में हो रहा है, you need to use this system. And for other eligible securities, you can use the FTRAC. Settlement rules are quite straight. For the first leg, it can be either T+0 on the transaction date itself or on the T+1, right? And on the settlement mode, it can be only delivery versus payment. That means simultaneously the delivery and payment settlement will happen, completely avoiding the settlement risk. मतलब यहाँ आप default नहीं कर सकते, right? There is no scope of default because they have strictly registered the delivery versus payment methodology. Then if I talk about the government security repo, then it can be settled through CCIL or any other RBI approved clearing agency. If it's a government security repo, then CCIL is the authority here. Repos in other security, they can be settled via stock exchanges or any other approved entity, that is also fine. Sale and substitution of collateral. So in the sale and substitution of collateral, securities acquired under the repo may be on sold if the entity is permitted to short sell it. The simple meaning is, right, bank ने security दी Reserve Bank of India को, bank has given security to the Reserve Bank of India. Can the Reserve Bank of India sell the securities for temporary period of time? Yes, they can do it if the entity is permitted to short sell based on the agreement. क्या रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया उसको टेम्परली बेच सकता है? यस, वो बेच सकता है, बाद में खरीद के वापस देना पड़ेगा जब भी आपका रेपो अरेंजमेंट खत्म होने वाला होगा. Used in another repo, they can even use it in another repo transaction. They can give the security as collateral, right? It can be also substituted with some other security. मतलब जो बैंक था उसने कोई और सिक्योरिटी दी और बाद में रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया इक्विवेलेंट अमाउंट की कोई और सिक्योरिटी दे रहा है. इज दैट परमिटेड? यस, दैट्स परमिटेड. As per the rules and regulation, as per the contract, it is permitted. Pricing rules, the collateral need to be priced at market price. And the second leg price is first leg price plus agreed interest. Now what is this second leg and first leg? देखो first leg मतलब जब जो बैंक है वो RBI को सिक्योरिटी दे रहा है, that's called as the first leg, right? तो फर्स्ट लेग जो होगा वो तो मार्केट प्राइस वैल्यू पे हो जाएगा. जो सेकेंड लेग होगा उसके अंदर फर्स्ट लेग का प्राइस प्लस वॉट एवर दी एग्रीड इंटरेस्ट रेट इज, उसके ऊपर आपका सेकेंड लेग प्राइस हो जाएगा. बेसिकली आपने पैसा यूज किया रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया का या किसी भी एंटिटी का रेपो के अंदर, सो उसके अंदर आपको इंटरेस्ट तो देना ही पड़ेगा, राइट? सो इन द सेकेंड लेग दैट इज द सेटलमेंट प्राइस, यू नीड टू पे द इंटरेस्ट एज वेल अलॉन्ग विद द फर्स्ट लेग प्राइस. मिनिमम हेयर कट भी यहाँ पे गिवन है जो कि आपको पता होना चाहिए. फॉर लिस्टेड कॉर्पोरेट बॉन्ड्स एंड डिबेंचर्स मिनिमम 2% हेयर कट इज देयर, राइट? कम से कम 2% हेयर कट यू नीड टू डिडक्ट फ्रॉम द कोलेटरल. For commercial papers, certificate of deposits, minimum of 1.5% needs to be deducted. For municipal and local authority securities, ये नया addition है, minimum 2% is required to be deducted, right? So 2%, 1.5% and 2%. Broadly, it is 2% only, but for commercial papers and COD, just for CPs and CDs, it is 1.5% minimum. Rest बाकी सब के लिए 2% है, right? रेस्ट बाकी सबके लिए 2% है. देन इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द CRR एंड SLR ट्रीटमेंट फॉर ऑल द रेपोज इन गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी, बोरोइंग जो है वो दैट आर एग्जेम्प्ट फ्रॉम द CRR एंड SLR ऑब्लिगेशन. फॉर ऑल द रेपोज दैट यू आर डूइंग इन गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज, बोरोइंग्स आर कंप्लीटली एग्जेम्प्ट फ्रॉम द CRR एंड SLR obligations, right? Securities acquired under the repo count as SLR only if they are SLR eligible securities. सो यहाँ पे SLR एलिजिबल सिक्योरिटीज उनको ही बोला जा सकता है जो आप रेपो के अंदर ट्रांजैक्शन कर रहे हो. इफ दो सिक्योरिटीज आर SLR अप्रूव्ड, देन ओनली दे विल फुलफिल योर SLR कंप्लायंस रिक्वायरमेंट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, पार्टी A which is lender is giving money to party 2. In return they are getting SLR approved securities. Will it be treated as SLR compliance for party 1? Yes, it will be treated as SLR compliance. Why? Because these are SLR approved securities, ये SLR की लिस्ट में आ रही है, that's why we can allow them, right? Then the documentation requirement आप avoid कर सकते हो और supersede circulars, ठीक है, जो आपका पुराना 2018 रेपो डायरेक्शन था वो अब supersede हो चुका है because now we have the 2025 का डायरेक्शन, right? So this is regarding the repo arrangement, right? This is regarding the repurchase transaction direction which is 2025. So यहाँ आपको क्या क्या याद रखना है? म्युनिसिपल बॉन्ड वाला क्राइटेरिया आपको अच्छे से याद रखना है, विच इज इंक्लूडेड हियर, राइट? रेपो क्या होता है, रिवर्स रेपो क्या होता है, देन what is the applicability of this direction and what is the non-applicability of this direction, that can be important, right? Haircut का concept आपके लिए important हो सकता है, and the things that can be used as collateral in a repo arrangement, ये भी आपको यहाँ पे याद रखना है, right? ये भी आपको यहाँ पे याद रखना है. द टेन्योर वो हम पढ़ते ही है मनी मार्केट के अंदर, उसमें कुछ नया नहीं है, राइट? एंड द रिपोर्टिंग रिक्वायरमेंट, इफ यू आर नॉट डूइंग ट्रांजैक्शन थ्रू ईटीपी और रिकॉग्नाइज्ड स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, मतलब आप ओटीसी कर रहे हो, देन यू नीड टू रिपोर्ट द ट्रांजैक्शन विद इन 15 months, राइट? विद इन 15 minutes, सॉरी, विद इन 15 minutes आपको यू नीड टू रिपोर्ट द ट्रांजैक्शन ऑन द रिपोर्टिंग सिस्टम, राइट? सो दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट यू नीड टू do very well, plus the minimum haircut requirement as well. So certificate of deposits in commercial paper के लिए we have 1.5%, rest we have 2%, right? Then next one is RBI rolls out the relief measure for tariff affected exporters. We all know what the India is struggling as of now because of the high tariffs. Why? Because US has imposed a quite very high tariff on the Indian exporters. So that's why these tariffs are now causing the export orders from the India to the US to decline, and that's why RBI has also intervened in this particular process, and they have provided a liquidity boost to those exporters who are actually facing the liquidity pressure, right? So let's discuss about the same. You can see in the press release RBI के यहाँ पे trade relief measures हैं, which was recently published in November 14th of November 2025. These are some of the trade relief measure. The very first trade relief measure by Reserve Bank of India is the changes in the FEMA regulation on the realization and repatriation of proceeds of export of goods, software or service. Say for example, if I am exporting goods, softwares or services, right? And I'm also receiving some advance payment. I'm also receiving some advance payment against such exports, say for example from United States of America, right? So I am the exporter, I am in India, I am exporting goods and services, I may be exporting goods, I may be exporting services or softwares in United States, and I am receiving an advance. So earlier the time period of realization and repatriation of the full export value, let's suppose here the export value is 1 lakh USD. For example, the export value is 1 lakh USD. So earlier there was a time limit of 9 months. That means I need to bring this $1 lakh, I need to bring these $1 lakh, I need to realize them, I need to repatriate them in India within 9 months, right? Within 9 months. Now they have extended it to 15 months, right? So from 9 months they have extended it to 15 months, and this gives a breathing space to the exporters. They can even realize it in the 15th month as well, right? In the 15th month as well they can realize it. So again यहाँ पे उनको काफ़ी relaxation मिलने वाला है इस particular area के अंदर. So this is regarding the extension of time for realization of export proceed. This is the relief number 1. Earlier 9 months था, अभी 15 months हो चुका है. So because exporters are facing the global slowdown, they'll be getting more time to receive the payments from the foreign buyers without violating the FEMA regulations. This is the relief number 1. Second relief is regarding the time extension for the shipment after receiving the advance. Say for example, you received the advance. You are the exporter, you received the advance. Now there is a time limit on shipment. Earlier you need to ship the goods within 1 year. From the realization of the advance payment. Now they have extended it to 3 years. And that's the relief number 2. अच्छा, पहले मुझे एडवांस मिलते ही शिपमेंट करना पड़ता था. कब तक करना पड़ता था गुड्स का? विद इन 1 year मुझे उनका शिपमेंट करना पड़ता था. बट एज ऑफ नाउ द टाइम लिमिट विल बी 3 year. As of now the time limit is 3 year. Why? because in case the supply chain are completely disrupted, the exporters will not be penalized for any kind of delayed shipment. They can make the shipment within 3 years as well from the earlier time period of 1 year. So again ये एक और relief है, right? This is one of a major relief, and the third relief will be here now, easing the burden on the debt repayment on specific impacted sector. So if you are having any burden related to debt, now debt is a burden, right? Why? Because you need to pay fixed interest on it. You need to repay that debt as well timely. So if you are having any burden of any debt repayment on the impacted sector, the very first thing should be you must be in the impacted sector. अगर आप एक impacted sector में हो, आपको debt problem कर रहा है, तो डेफिनेटली ये वाला रिलीफ आपके लिए है. यू विल बी गेटिंग अ मोरेटोरियम और डेफरमेंट. देखो मोरेटोरियम को कुछ नहीं, डेफरमेंट ही बोलते हैं, राइट? रिलेटेड टू द टर्म लोन्स एंड द रिकवरी ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऑन द वर्किंग कैपिटल लोन फॉलिंग ड्यू बिटवीन 1 September 2025 to 31st December 2025. ये वाला जो पीरियड है, इस पीरियड के बीच में जितने भी आपके इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट्स फॉल कर रहे होंगे, राइट, जो आपके टर्म लोन के रीपेमेंट्स फॉल कर रहे होंगे, जो आपके वर्किंग कैपिटल लोन के इंटरेस्ट रिकवरी फॉल कर रही होगी, उसके लिए आपको यहाँ पे डेफरमेंट अलाउ कर दिया जाएगा. डेफरमेंट आपको यहाँ पे अलाउ कर दिया जाएगा. प्लस there will be a permission to the lenders to recalculate the drawing power in the working capital facility either by reducing the margin, so now they can reduce the margin as well. There is no pressure of keeping the margins too high, they can reduce it, और the basis reassessment, जो उनके हिसाब से reassessment करते हैं वो करके भी वो यहाँ पे उनको facility दे सकते हैं. So this is the permission that RBI has given to the lenders, right? So कोई भी बैंक को NBFC उनको क्या करना पड़ेगा, अभी मोरेटोरियम देना पड़ेगा और डेफर करना पड़ेगा उनका पेमेंट टर्म लोन की इंस्टॉलमेंट्स पे. इंटरेस्ट ऑन द वर्किंग कैपिटल लोन जो इस पर्टिकुलर रेंज में फॉल कर रही है, तो सबसे पहले तो आपको ये रेंज पता होनी चाहिए, डेट रेंज, राइट? यू नीड टू नो द डेट रेंज. नाउ जो इंटरेस्ट होगा फिर क्या होगा, सर उसका डेफरमेंट हो रहा है, मतलब कभी तो यू नीड टू पे. इट्स जस्ट अ डेफरमेंट, इट्स नॉट अ कैंसिलेशन. यू नीड टू पे दैट इंटरेस्ट, राइट, अल्टीमेटली. सो वो अक्रू होता जाएगा. अक्रू मतलब वो बढ़ता चला जाएगा, अपने अंदर ही जमा होता जाएगा, इंटरेस्ट अक्यूमुलेट होता जाएगा. बट एट दी सिंपल इंटरेस्ट, वन मोर मेजर रिलीफ, कि आपको कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट नहीं लगाया जाएगा, आपको सिंपल इंटरेस्ट यहाँ पे लगाया जाएगा, राइट? आपके इंटरेस्ट के ऊपर इंटरेस्ट नहीं लिया जाएगा, बेसिकली आपके प्रिंसिपल के ऊपर जो इंटरेस्ट रहेगा वही अक्रू होता जाएगा. द इंटरेस्ट अक्रूड इन दिस पीरियड देन विल बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू अ फंडेड इंटरेस्ट टर्म लोन. जो भी इंटरेस्ट यहाँ पे कवर हो चुका है उसके लिए आपको एक फंडेड इंटरेस्ट टर्म लोन दे दिया जाएगा, एक और लोन दे दिया जाएगा. बेसिकली इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ सेपरेट लोन ओनली, जिसको आप धीरे धीरे चुका सकते हो, राइट? रीपेबल बिटवीन 31 मार्च 2026 एंड 30 सितंबर 2026. तो ये एक बहुत ही बड़ा रिलैक्सेशन यहाँ पे मिलने वाला है एक्सपोर्टर्स को, राइट? सो दिस इज द मॉरेटोरियम पीरियड एंड द रिकैलकुलेशन ऑफ द ड्रॉइंग पावर. सो बैंक को यहाँ पे रिकैलकुलेशन करने का पावर मिलेगा आरबीआई के थ्रू. ओके, नेक्स्ट इज द रिलैक्सेशन इन द रीपेमेंट ऑफ एक्सपोर्ट क्रेडिट, राइट? सो यहाँ पे आपको जो एक्सपोर्ट क्रेडिट मिलता है, आपको जो क्रेडिट मिलता है बेसिकली, उसके पीरियड का एनहांसमेंट हो चुका है. एनहांसमेंट इन द मैक्सिमम क्रेडिट पीरियड. अर्लियर यू यूज्ड टू गेट अ क्रेडिट पीरियड ऑफ 1 year. You used to get a credit period of 1 year. Now it is of 450 days, both for pre-shipment and for post-shipment export credit till 31st March 2026. तो 31st March 2026 तक आपको एक साल की जगह 450 डेज का आपको यहाँ पे क्रेडिट पीरियड मिलने वाला है, बोथ फॉर योर प्री शिपमेंट एज वेल एज फॉर योर पोस्ट शिपमेंट, है ना? प्री शिपमेंट मतलब अभी शिपमेंट हुआ नहीं है, आपके गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज अब डिलीवर होंगे, और पोस्ट शिपमेंट मतलब आपके गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज डिलीवर हो चुके हैं, बट आपकी पेमेंट आने बाकी है, आपके अमाउंट आना बाकी है आपके लिए, राइट? So again, allowing the lender to liquidate the packing credit facility availed by the exporter on or before 31st of August 2025, where the dispatch of the goods could not take place. तो अगर dispatch of the goods नहीं हो पाया है before 31st August 2025, तो यहाँ पे आपको lenders को यहाँ पे to liquidate the packing credit facility, जो भी आपने goods के लिए facility ली थी, मतलब ये प्री शिपमेंट में आ गया packing facility, right? तो वहाँ आपको liquidate करने का भी ऑप्शन मिल जाएगा फ्रॉम एनी लेजिटिमेट ऑल्टरनेट सोर्स. मान लो आपको अगर आपको नहीं वहाँ पे सेल करने का मिला, तो आप क्या कर सकते हो, डोमेस्टिक मार्केट के अंदर सेल प्रोसीड्स रियलाइज करते हो उसको सेल करके, राइट? और एनी लेजिटिमेट ऑल्टरनेट सोर्स। सो यहाँ पे आपको एक्सपोर्ट क्रेडिट टेन्योर को बढ़ा के यहाँ पे जो पहले आपको मिलता था 270 डेज, उसको आपको 450 डेज यहाँ पे मिलना चालू कर दिया, एंड दिस इज अप टू 31 मार्च 2026। तो हमको यहाँ पे 450 का पीरियड जो है वो याद रखना है। ओके, यहाँ पे हमको 450 का पीरियड याद रखना चाहिए। अच्छा, अभी मॉरेटोरियम पीरियड आपको मिल रहा है, तो क्या आपका जो असेट क्लासिफिकेशन है एज पर दी इनकम रिकॉग्निशन एंड प्रूडेंशियल नॉर्म्स, राइट, सो क्या ये भी चेंज हो जाएगा आपके प्रूडेंशियल नॉर्म्स के हिसाब से? तो नहीं होगा, आपका असेट जो है वो स्टैंडर्ड असेट ही रहेगा, राइट। बैंक उसको स्टैंडर्ड असेट ही क्लासिफाई करेगा, बिकॉज मॉरेटोरियम पीरियड्स आर ऑलवेज एक्सक्लूडेड, ऐसा हमने हमेशा क्लासेस के अंदर भी पढ़ा है, राइट। सो ये हमेशा एक्सक्लूडेड होते हैं, तो आपका डिफॉल्ट ही नहीं माना जाएगा, आपको क्लासिफिकेशन में सब स्टैंडर्ड पे नहीं लेके जाया जाएगा। ओके, बट बैंक नीड टू मेक अ जनरल प्रोविजन ऑफ 5% अगेंस्ट द अकाउंट वेयर इन द डिफॉल्ट बट स्टिल क्लासिफाइड एज स्टैंडर्ड। तो अगर आपने अकाउंट को स्टैंडर्ड क्लासिफाई कर दिया बैंक ने, द बैंक हैज क्लासिफाइड द अकाउंट एज स्टैंडर्ड as of 31st August 2025 and where the trade relief measures have been extended, जहाँ पे trade relief measures extend किए, तो यहाँ पे आपकी प्रोविजनिंग हो जानी चाहिए, और प्रोविजनिंग कब तक हो जानी चाहिए? बाय 31st December 2025 तक यू नीड टू मेक अ 5% प्रोविजन ईयर। नाउ दिस इज नथिंग बट दिस इज डन जस्ट टू सेव गार्ड द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द बैंक एज वेल, राइट, क्योंकि हम उनको स्टैंडर्ड असेट में रख रहे हैं, सब स्टैंडर्ड में नहीं लेके जा रहे हैं, सो यहाँ पे एड ऑन प्रोविजन की रिक्वायरमेंट डाल दी, दैट इज फॉर द 5%, राइट। तो यहाँ पे क्या क्या आपके रिलीफ मेजर्स हो गए हैं? सबसे पहला, फेमा रेगुलेशंस के अंदर आपको टाइमलाइन का एक्सटेंशन मिल जाएगा। सो अर्लियर देयर वाज 9 मंथ्स दैट यू वर गेटिंग, नाउ यू विल बी गेटिंग 15 मंथ्स। ओके, आपकी अपनी फुल एक्सपोर्ट वैल्यू आप वहाँ से मंगवा सकते हो 15 महीने के अंदर, ना कि 9 महीने के अंदर। दैट वाज द फर्स्ट वन। सेकेंड वन वॉज रिलेटेड टू द शिपमेंट। अगर आपको एडवांस मिल गया, इफ यू हैव रिसीव्ड द एडवांस, देन यू कैन डू द शिपमेंट इवन अप टू 3 years, अर्लियर इट वॉज 1 year। देन अगेन द बेनिफिट रिलेटेड टू मॉरेटोरियम पीरियड। सो आपको इस पीरियड के बीच में मॉरेटोरियम मिल जाएगा, मतलब आपका जो इंटरेस्ट होगा वो सिंपल इंटरेस्ट ही लगेगा, और वो आप बाद में चुका सकते हो एज अ सेपरेट लोन, एज अ सेपरेट लोन की तरह आप उसको चुका सकते हो, राइट। दिस इज अगेन अ बेनिफिट। एंड द नेक्स्ट बेनिफिट इज रिलैक्सेशन इन द रीपेमेंट ऑफ एक्सपोर्ट क्रेडिट। तो पहले जो आपको 1 year तक मिलता था, वो अब आपको 450 डेज तक मिल जाएगा, बोथ फॉर प्री शिपमेंट एंड फॉर द पोस्ट शिपमेंट क्रेडिट, राइट। अच्छा, और प्री शिपमेंट क्रेडिट था आपका, राइट, आपका अभी तक डिलीवर नहीं हुआ था, तो जो भी पैकिंग फैसिलिटी के आपने क्रेडिट लिया था, उसको आप क्या कर सकते हो, अगर वहां तक आपने नहीं सेंड कर पाए हो, तो आप यहीं उसको बेच के लिक्विडेट कर सकते हो और अपना ऑब्लिगेशन सेटल कर सकते हो, राइट। सो दिस इज वन मोर थिंग। प्लस योर अकाउंट विल नॉट बी क्लासिफाइड एज अ सब स्टैंडर्ड एसेट, इट विल रिमेन स्टैंडर्ड ओनली। दैट इज वन ऑफ द क्राइटेरिया यार एज पर द प्रूडेंशियल नॉर्म्स, क्योंकि मॉरेटोरियम पीरियड को वी नेवर कंसिडर इट इन द एनपीए वाला 90 डेज का क्राइटेरिया, बट आपको 5% का प्रोविजन यहाँ पे बनाना पड़ेगा, दैट्स फॉर द प्रोविजनिंग रिक्वायरमेंट। तो ये कुछ चीजें हैं जो आपको याद होनी चाहिए। आई हैव गिवन द की टर्म्स एज वेल लेटर ऑन आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए। देन बिकॉज ऑफ द ट्रेड रिलीफ, सर्टेन प्रोविजंस हैव बीन अमेंडेड रिलेटेड टू द फॉरेन एक्सचेंज मैनेजमेंट, एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज रेगुलेशन 2025 ऑल्सो। व्हाट आर द अमेंडमेंट्स हियर? सो लुक, in the directions also 9 month को they have changed to 15 months, right? 1 year को they have substituted by 3 years. So these are some of the changes that I have done correspondingly in the FEMA Act as well. Trade relief measures were announced, and these are the things that they have changed in the FEMA Act as well, right? Now here there is a quick update that the RBI has conducted a 4-day VRRR auction, variable rate reverse repo auction, under the liquidity adjustment facility on 1st of December, is going to conduct on 1st of December 2025. So यही उससे related यहाँ पे इन्होंने notification press release निकाला है। What is the notified amount? 75,000 crore. The tenure is 4 day. अच्छा, इससे पहले 14 days हुआ करता था, फिर RBI ने अभी क्या कर लिया था रिसेंटली इंटरनल रिव्यू के अंदर, they have changed it to 7 days, और ये तो उससे भी शॉर्ट होने वाला है 4 days वाला। The window timing and the डेट ऑफ रिवर्सल इज 1st of December. सो ये 4 days के लिए होने वाला है, मतलब 1st of December को होगा प्लस 4 days, दैट मीन्स ये 5th of December को कंक्लूड हो जाएगा, राइट। दिस विल बी कंक्लूडेड ऑन द 5th of December. Now why they are actually doing is because there is too much liquidity as of now in the banking system, and RBI wants to absorb this excess liquidity, right, so that the interest rate remains stable, the inflation remains under control, and Money market discipline is also maintained here. That's why they are undergoing a VRRR auction, right? That's why they are doing a VRRR auction. अच्छा, VRRR क्या होता है? मैंने आपको मल्टीपल वीडियोस के अंदर I have told you many times, I have explained you many times. So जो लोग पहली बार VRRR का ऑप्शन सुन रहे हैं, प्लीज डेफिनेटली आप पुराने वीडियोस देख सकते हो. And what else you can do is you can quickly check out VRRR on the internet as well, right? It is nothing but a liquidity absorption tool here, which the RBI is using, right? Which the RBI is using to absorb the excess liquidity in the banking system. So here what is happening? The bank is lending the money to the Reserve Bank of India, right? The bank is lending the money to Reserve Bank of India. In this way, the RBI is absorbing the excess liquidity from the system, right? Next one is related to RBI issues the Reserve Bank of India Digital Banking Channel Authorization Direction. So we have already discussed this in the month of July. Earlier they have released a master direction, a draft master direction in July 2025. Definitely the video is already there on the channel. You can definitely watch that video. So this is just a quick update कि RBI ने अब उसको final authorization they have given to this direction. So now digital banking channel authorization is already, RBI has given it a green flag here, right? Acha, some of the additional comments that RBI has given for this particular direction. Why? Because draft direction आया था तो the draft direction was open for feedback purpose. People and entities, they have given feedback, and RBI has accepted some of the feedback, and they have also rejected some of the feedbacks. So what they have accepted and you guys need to know is they have clarified that UPI and CBDC are also a payment system, right? UPI and CBDC, they are part of payment system. Mobile wallets, we do have mobile wallets such as prepaid payment instruments. So say for example, if I'm having MobiKwik wallet, that's a prepaid payment instrument, right? APIs, they are not channel themselves, they are not digital channels, rather they are connectors, right? They are connectors. APIs are application program interface, are connectors, right? So these clarifications RBI has given here. अच्छा, people have also requested कि जो आपका net worth requirement of 50 crore है, you can lower that, you can eliminate that, you can also lower the CRR requirement, but RBI has completely not accepted this kind of feedback, and the limit जो हमने उस direction में पढ़ी थी, that will hold true, right? That limit will again hold true. Next is related to the quarterly basic statistical return. So BSR1 ka data is released, and we all know that BSR1 ka data is related to credit, right? So by the scheduled commercial banks, what is the basic statistical return? 1 ka data, this is on credit for the September 2025, right? For the September 2025. So we can see that the bank credit growth has improved to 10.7%. Earlier it was 9.9%. We have discussed this data in June 2025 wala month, right? And now they have recently released for the September 2025 month, and there is a growth in this data. That means bank ka credit growth rate is increasing from 9.9% to 10.7%. And here we can see personal loan ka jo hai wo highest hai. Then we have the agriculture ka data and then industry ka data, right? अच्छा, agriculture का data के अंदर there was a slowdown, but we can see there was a sharp decline in the agriculture का data, but we can see a quick increase in the agriculture data as well, right? So 10.7% is what you need to remember here. This is the year on year data. If I talk about the weighted average lending rate, again it is going up only, and personal loan and the personal loan is on the top of it, right? Personal loan का सबसे कम है, बाकी graph overall flat है weighted average लेंडिंग रेट का. अच्छा, व्हाट इज वेटेड एवरेज लेंडिंग रेट? अब बहुत सारी रेगुलेटेड एंटिटीज हैं, इतने सारे बैंक्स हैं, दे ऑल आर गिविंग लोन्स इन एडवांसेस ऑन डिफरेंट रेट्स. सो इफ आई कैलकुलेट अ एवरेज रेट, अ वेटेड एवरेज रेट, दिस इज कॉल्ड एज वेटेड एवरेज लेंडिंग रेट, राइट? दैट मीन्स दिस इज द डेटा ऑफ ऑल द बैंक्स लेंडिंग रेट का, राइट? से फॉर एग्जाम्पल HDFC बैंक इज गिविंग इंटरेस्ट रेट एट 10%, SBI बैंक इज गिविंग एट 8%. अब वैसे तो फर्क तो पॉइंट्स में होता है, राइट? यूजुअली द डिफरेंस इज जस्ट इन द पॉइंट्स, बट स्टिल इफ आई कैलकुलेट द ओवरऑल रेट, it will be called as weighted average lending rate, right? Then we can see that the private sector bank credit growth remained lower than the public sector banks. So private banks credit growth, we are talking here about the credit growth, is lower than the public sector bank, right? In September 2025, ये भी आपको यहाँ पे याद रखना है. पर्सनल लोन्स सबसे ज़्यादा ग्रो हो रहे हैं, हमने चार्ट के अंदर देख ही लिया था. वी हैव सीन दिस थिंग इन द चार्ट इटसेल्फ, right? And you can have a quick reading related to the rest of the data as well. But what broadly you need to remember is the thing that I have taught you here, right? Then BSR2 का data भी is released, quarterly basic statistical return. So BSR1 is related to credit, 2 is related to deposits, right? 2 is related to deposits. That is also released. So guys, now if we talk about the BSR2, we can see that the deposits with the SEBs registered a 9.9% year-on-year growth. Earlier it used to be there 11.7% and now it is 9.9%. So on year-on-year basis data, it is a decline definitely. And if I talk about from the next quarter, from the previous quarter, if I try to compare it, again there is a decline. पहले हमने देखा था there was 11.3% and now it is just 9.9%, right? Now it is just 9.9% here of the deposits, right? So this is the deposit growth. If I talk about term deposit, so आप term deposit का trend भी देख सकते हो, savings account का trend भी देख सकते हो, and current account का trend भी देख सकते हो. There is slight decline only in these trends. Broadly ये कहाँ से decline हुआ है? आपका term deposit के data से decline driven हुआ है, right? Now public sector banks recorded a 9.6% deposit growth and the deposit growth of the private sector banks declined to 10%. Still, private sector banks are having a higher deposit growth as compared to the public sector bank, is what the observation here is from the credit data, right? From the quarterly credit data which is published. Though there is a decline in the term of in the trend of term deposit growth, it still remains the higher as compared to the current account and the saving deposit growth, right? तो term deposit के अंदर सबसे ज़्यादा inflow आता है, ये हमने last quarter में भी देखा था. अच्छा, in which sector remains the highest contributor? The household sector remains the largest contributor of the deposits with nearly 3/5 share in the deposits in September 2025. So यहाँ पे household sector का सबसे ज़्यादा deposits रहता है in the entire deposits, right? Next is related to the performance of the private corporate business sector during quarter 2 of financial year 2026. So this is quarter 2 का data of financial year 2026. We can see that the sales growth of the listed private non-financial company improved to 8%. Earlier it used to be 5.5%. Now it is 8%, right? I'm talking about the listed private company, non-financial companies, right? Non-financial companies. So here we can see that if I talk about sales growth, the non-IT services is leading the pack, right? The non-IT service is leading the pack with 10.6% rate. 10.6% rate और उसके बाद मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का आता है 8.5% and then we have the IT का growth rate at 7.8%, right? So यहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा contribution किसका है? Non-IT services is having the highest contribution here. And if I talk about expenditure, then the manufacturing company's expense of raw material has increased by 9% if I compare it with year-on-year data. Now what you guys need to do is just try to remember the crucial data points that I am telling you. Otherwise there are too many data points you can remember for the examination, but it's not relevant. The major pointers and the driving reasons you can remember. Jैसे what you can remember here is the sales growth, out of which also it is being majorly contributed by the non-IT service, right? The highest contribution is of the non-IT service sector. So data plus the driving reason, you need to remember this. And if we talk about the interest expense, the interest coverage ratio is moderated to 8.6%. Now what is interest coverage ratio? EBIT, earning before interest and taxes, divided by the interest component. Acha, we also call it as operating profit. EBIT ko we also call it as operating profit, and that's how we calculate the interest coverage ratio. It shows how comfortably you can deliver, you can pay your interest obligation by using your EBIT, earning before interest and taxes, or we can also call it as operating profit, right? Operating profit. Now the next one is related to the interlinking news related to UPI. with target. Now what is target? Which is called as tips basically. So there is interlinking between UPI and tips, which is the euro system, right? Tips is a euro system. We have in India we have UPI, and they have interlinked the data with the target instant payment system. Acha, what is tips? Target instant payment system is the full form, which is a euro based system, right? Which is a euro based system. And the whole idea is to facilitate the cross border remittances between India and euro area. And definitely this is going to have so many benefits for both the areas in India as well as the euro area, right? And NPCI and RBI will continue to collaborate closely with the European Central Bank to operationalize this particular tie-up. Okay, so ये आपको याद रखना है कि ये दोनों का यहाँ पे collaboration है, दोनों का tie-up हुआ है, दोनों का interlinkage हुआ है. And the whole aim is to enable the real-time cross-border payments between India and euro area. Now this will facilitate your seamless remittances, travel payments, merchant payments, right? Small business trade flows, everything will be quite streamlined between both these countries here, right? So this is again a step towards the internationalization of Indian rupee. Uske baad RBI has released a list. This is the updated list of the unauthorized forex trading platforms that are operating, right? So this is just for the awareness purpose for you guys, but you don't have to remember the name of these platforms, not required at all, right? This important news have a high chance of coming in your examination. Recognition of self-regulatory organization SRO for the payment system operator. So RBI has recognized a self-regulatory organization for the payment system operators here, right? We can see here that SRPA, self-regulated PSO association, will be the new PSO, will be the new SRO for PSO, right? Will be the new self-regulatory organization for the payment system operator. The name of the entity is SRPA, self-regulated PSO association, right? Self-regulated PSO association. Very, very important for your RBI Grade B examination, December month 2025. Okay. Then the last thing that we are having is related to the Financial Sector Assessment Program 2024. Now, what is this Financial System Assessment Program? So this is nothing but a joint initiative of the International Monetary Fund IMF and World Bank, right? So World Bank and IMF joint initiate करके एक FSAP बनाते हैं, which is Financial Sector Assessment Program. What the whole idea is कि यहाँ पे they are conducting a comprehensive, deep and system-wide assessment of countries' financial sector. As the name says it all, Financial Sector Assessment Program. So they are assessing the financial sector developments related to stability, related to resilience, related to regulation, supervision, and what kind of developments are still required in this system, right? And from 2010, this particular program is mandatory for so many jurisdictions. Usually it is conducted every 5 years for some areas and for every 10 years for some other areas. And the outputs of this particular report is being published in the IMF Financial System Stability Assessment. And if I talk about World Bank, they are publishing it in the Financial Sector Assessment, right? अच्छा, इंडिया में previously कब हुआ था? In 2017 they have conducted this in India, and as of now they have released it for 2024, right? They have released it for the 2024 year. This is also one of the toughest audit of India's, of all the countries' financial system in terms of stress testing, in terms of supervision, sector evaluation and regulatory quality assessment. If we talk about the overall financial system performance of India, they find it that it's more resilient, it's more diverse and inclusive as compared to 2017. So we are definitely making a progress in the financial system side, right? Now we can see that financial sector, they also recover from the stress episodes of 2010 and the COVID-19 pandemic. So India's financial system has performed really well. And this is definitely going to achieve, they help achieve the India achieving the 30 trillion USD economy by 2047. Now, World Bank has also acknowledged the strengthening and expanded regulatory powers over the cooperative banks regarding the tightening of the prudential norms, bringing the scale-based regulation framework for NBFCs, right? We classify the NBFCs in different layers like base layer, middle layer, upper layer and so on. So again, this was also acknowledged from World Bank side. What they recommended is strengthening of the credit risk management related to banks and the NBFCs as of now. If we talk about the overall securities market, they have found that the structure is quite solid and it's quite well structured, right? But still they have given some of the recommendations like integrated monitoring of conducting the risk analysis, especially in the mutual funds. Stronger self-regulatory organization structure. So again, SRO के status RBI frequently दे ही रहे हैं. Then digital financial inclusion. India's DPI is recognized as globally as a top class, right? You can talk about here the growth story of the UPI, right? So recommendations from the World Bank here is about increasing the account usage by women and expand the access to more and more financial products for the individuals and MSMEs, right? Then they did the insurance sector assessment as well, and they have broadly found it sound and comparable with the global countries as well. They have done a climate risk assessment as well, and that too is the banking sector and agriculture sector are resilient to the short-term climate shocks. They have given some of the recommendations related to sustainable finance roadmap and the national climate finance taxonomy. अच्छा, national climate finance taxonomy के बारे में भी we have discussed it multiple times in different videos here, right? From the credit infrastructure and MSME, what they have recommended is publishing the comprehensive MSME credit data, including the demand side data as well, plus establishing MSME data organization as well, who are there to observe the improved credit access quality, right? What quality improvement is there in your credit, that organization will be also evaluating. From the capital market side, they have recommended the enhanced capital enhancement mechanism, risk sharing facilities and securitization platform, promoting the securitization platform in India, which is quite required. But broadly, they have found that the India's financial system is quite sound, right? Subject to the following recommendations, and what I have given for all of you is an exam oriented summary related to this particular news, right? So you can just quickly read the summary pointers as well if you don't have adequate time. And for those who are preparing for 2026 RBI Grade B exam, this is a 101 mentorship batch. Definitely you can check out. And SEBI batch is also there, which is a crash course for all of you for your SEBI Grade A general preparation. So thank you so much guys. Bye bye. Take care. See you soon in some other video. This is all about your November circulars.